everybody, here we are, and what I've got is the IKONART inkjet printer film. Okay, haven't even opened it yet, but that's what I'm going to be printing my design on to burn my stencil. Get it open. So your kit, when you order your kit, it comes with one pack of the inkjet printer film, and it's got 5 8.5 by 11 sheets in it. It's packaged very well. It comes in between 2 pieces of cardboard that's taped on the edge. Let me just see if I can get some of that tape off. This is what it looks like. It's kind of a milky, clear sheet. Now, in the first part of the video, I told you that you needed to mirror your image. And that's important because that's going to help you get a better burn on your stencil. So it's important to make sure that you print on the right side of this. There's a smooth side, and there's a silky side. Or actually, I think Edie from IKONART says there's a milky side and a silky side. You want to print on the milky side. Well, just like her, when I look at it, it looks milky on both sides to me. So she had a couple tips and tricks to help us figure out which side we need to be printing on. One of her tips was the milky side, which is the side that has the emulsion on it. If you lick your finger and stick it to it, it's sticky. The other side isn't. That's going to be the absolute best way to tell. Because honestly, I've been sitting here saying, oh my gosh, they're... Okay, so another way she said is the emulsion side makes a noise when you rub your finger on it, and the other side doesn't. So the silky side doesn't really make a noise when you rub your finger on it. The emulsion side makes a sound. The emulsion side, if you wet your finger and stick to it, it's sticky, and it is sticky. And then the other thing she said was, if you can take your fingernail, if it goes into it, that's the emulsion side. If it doesn't go into it, that's the silky side. Honestly, it's the wet finger touching it is the way to go to know which side to print on. Lick your finger, stick it in the corner. If it sticks to it, that's the side you're printing on. Okay? So I'm going to take this and put this in my inkjet printer and print my image out, and I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back. Got my stencil all printed out. This is the emulsion side. It should be backwards to you. But that's the sticky side. That's the side you want to print on. This is what it looks like from the front. Okay? I'm so glad that I'm doing this tutorial with y'all, because maybe some of my boo-boos will help y'all to not make the same boo-boos. So as you saw right before this, I went over there to print and realized, oh my gosh, I can't print the size that I needed, so I had to size it down to fit on this piece of paper. And then as I was printing it, I learned another lesson. Don't put this in just on top of your paper that you've already got loaded in your printer. What happens is the emulsion side on my printer, and I think probably on most inkjet printers, it prints on the bottom, like when it feeds through. So let's say it's going through like this. It's laying down, it's going through like this. It prints on this side. So whatever whatever side's on the bottom laying on the tray is the side it prints on. And so I went in there to get it, and a piece of paper was stuck to it, so it printed on the piece of paper and not my printer film. Now, I did just notice, because one of the things is you need to make sure that you've got a good print. I'm seeing a couple lines from my printer, and I am running low on ink, but it looks pretty good, so hopefully it'll be enough. I may end up having some lines in my stencil. I'm not sure, but we're gonna go with it and see what happens. Maybe it'll be good. Okay, so I need to try to figure out where to put everything. Because of my setup, I may need to get an extension cord to be able to plug this in. It doesn't have an on-off switch on the cord or on here anywhere. You just have to plug it in and then unplug it, unless you have some kind of extension cord or something that you can just turn the cord on and off somehow. I'm going to have to work on that and get me a setup for that. But bear with me. I'm going to get us situated so we can make our stencil. Yay, I'm excited. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and I've got my stencil film here. It's in this black pouch. You don't need to open this until you're ready to expose your stencil. So I'm going to open the pouch up. It does have a little Ziploc. It does fasten back. Sorry, I had y'all up in the air. So, I'm going to open this up. We're going to take out some fumble fingers today. I'm going to take out one piece of the blue stencil material. I'm going to take out the clear plastic piece that's included in your pouch with your stencil material, and then I'm going to close the stencil material back up. And I'm not going to lay that by that light. Okay, so on the blue stencil material, it's got a rough side and a smooth side. You're going to put the rough side up. Let me change your angle here. So I've got my black cardboard piece down on the base. That cuts down on the shine on the bottom. You're going to put the rough side of the stencil material up underneath the light. You're going to put your stencil on there so you can read it. So that means you're going to put your sticky side down. You're going to put the clear thing on the top, and that just holds it. It makes it help with better contact. And you're going to leave that there for 35 seconds. So I'm going to leave it there for 35 seconds, and I'm just going to let you guys watch it. It's just sitting there under the light. Alright, I'm going to take it out. You're going to put this clear piece back in your black pouch with your stencil material, because you're going to need to use that each and every time you make a stencil. This is reusable. Don't get rid of it. You want to keep it too. You can reuse your stencil, but if you use it and use it and use it and use it and use it, it may get worn after you've used it hundreds of times. And instead of having to design again or print again and use another piece of your printer film, just hang on to that one. That one will be good. You can reuse it however many times you need to. So here's our stencil. Doesn't look like anything happened. But now this is where you take it to a sink with a sprayer. You use hot water, not scalding hot, but hot water, like the temperature you would wash your dishes with, and you use your sprayer and you spray it out. I'm not going to be able to show you that because I'm upstairs in my craft room. I don't have a sprayer up here in the bathroom up here. Gonna have to go downstairs to the kitchen sink and spray this. I'm gonna go do that now and I'll be back. Oh yeah, one more thing I do need to mention. We're gonna use our IKONART clipboard. So this is the rough side that I got facing up. I'm gonna clip that right there on my clipboard and I'm gonna take it downstairs and rinse it out and I'll be right back. Okay, so here we are, and I just spent a whole lot of time trying to rinse out my stencil, and I didn't really understand why it was taking so long to get the stencil rinsed out, so I reached out to the folks at IKONARTSTENCIL.com, and I actually was so impressed. They have such great customer service, and Edie from IKONART actually sent me her phone number and said give me a call, and we were on the phone for quite a while, and she was just trying to help me troubleshoot what happened. I'm not sure, but I think it was probably a combination of I had the light on before I had my printer sheet on top, or before I had my setup with my printer sheet and my stencil. But what we determined was that it was probably that I didn't have my print settings on my computer right. So I wanted to just jump back on here and show you that it does make a difference on what your print settings are to get a good washout on your stencil. So I've got my artwork up. I'm going to go File, Print, using my Canon, and then I'm going to click on Preferences. I'm going to choose Photo Printing. I'm going to uncheck Borderless. I'm going to check Grayscale. And you need it to be some kind of glossy photo paper. So I don't really know if it needs to be this plus or if it just needs to be glossy. Okay, so I'm going to choose glossy, and then I'm going to choose high on the print quality. It needs to be portrait, and then I'm going to do OK. And I'm actually having to remake this portion of the video because I somehow deleted all my screen capture parts of this tutorial, so I've come back in to just remake this and then another section. So I've already printed it, and we'll get back to the video and I'll show you where it goes from here. Alright everybody, I'm back. Here is the new stencil film or printer film that I just printed out on the different settings that I just explained in the video. So I'm going to expose my stencil now. Another thing that's important is you don't want to be doing this like in a room that's got a lot of sunlight in it. I do have a really big overhead light that I'm actually going to turn off while I'm exposing the stencil, just in hopes that that will help it process a little bit better. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and turn the light off now before I even get my stencil material out of the pack. I hope that y'all will still be able to see. I do have a small light on over by my computer, but we're going to try this today. Alright, so as you can see, I've got a little light coming in, but I can kind of stand here and block it just a little bit. So, I've got my black cardboard piece on the bottom of my stencil kit. I'm going to get out my blue stencil film. Okay, I'm going to lay my stencil film smooth side down, rough side up. You can feel it. It feels like a really, really, really fine screen. Okay. I'm going to lay my printed out sheet on top of the stencil film where I can read it. So that means the emulsion side that I printed on is going to be going right up against the screen part. Then I'm going to lay my clear piece that came in the pack on top of that. And I'm going to just press it down just to make sure that it's getting good contact. Okay? And I'm going to have to get under the table, so maybe you won't be able to see me. I've got to get under this table to plug the light in. Alright, so yesterday I exposed it for 35 seconds, and in talking with Edie, she says that she's found for her 45 seconds, so I'm going to do 45 seconds today and see if that helps me just a little bit more too. So we're just going to let this expose. So we've got about 30 more seconds. She also said not to overexpose it too much because that could also cause you issues. Alright, that should be the 45 seconds. And I'm going to take this plastic sheet off. I'm going to keep my printout. And I'm going to take my screen downstairs and rinse it out. And I'll be back. Okay, everybody, I'm back. And here we have my stencil. What a difference following the directions makes. So this is what you use your clipboard for. You put your stencil on your clipboard while you're rinsing it out. And then you're just going to pat your stencil dry. You don't want to rub it. Okay? And then you need to let it dry. I think the recommended time is 45 minutes. So I'm going to let this dry, and while I do, I'm going to be painting my sign that I'm going to be applying this to. Alright, so I'll be back with you in just a little bit. Thank you so much, Edie, for walking me through this, and yes, that made a definite difference. So remember, everybody, it's really important the way you have your printer settings going for this. Alright, I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back. I got my stencil made. I got it rinsed out. You can see. And this has been actually several days. But once you get your stencil all washed out, you've dried it off, you let it dry for at least 45 minutes. You don't want any water in between your blue piece and your backing. You're going to re-expose it for 2 to 3 minutes, and that's going to just increase the durability of the stencil. That way you can just keep using it over and over and over. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to actually expose the stencil for 2 to 3 minutes, and then we'll continue on with the video. Alright, so we're just going to expose the stencil for the 2 to 3 minutes, and that's just going to increase the life of the stencil and allow it to be used over and over and over. So I'm going to let that expose some more, and I'll be back. Okay, so my stencil's all done. I exposed it for another 3 minutes, and that should make it last longer and be where I can use it over and over and over again. so now what I'm going to do, I have pre-painted this 12 by 12 wooden canvas that I got at Walmart. There's my pre-painted canvas. And what I'm going to do now is remove the blue, actually first. Okay, so here's my stencil. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to turn it over, and on the back, on the slick side, that's the carrier side, I'm going to write back, so that when I get finished and I wash my stencil out, I'll put it back on this clear backing the right way. So I'm just going to write back on that. And then that way I'll know how to put it back on there. So I'm going to remove the stencil from the backing. Lay the backing over there. Then I'm just going to get my stencil placed where I want it. And I'm just going to rub it down. Okay. Okay. There's several different ways you can do this. I'm going to use, I painted this with the Waverly white chalk paint, and now I'm going to do my stencil in the Waverly elephant. And you can take this and put it on there, you know, run you a line of paint and then squeegee it on. But I think I'm going to use this little pouncer brush to put my paint on. Just want to make sure it's good and pressed down on there. Although, you know what? I might just use the squeegee. Decisions. Let me get this paint mixed up. I'm going to bite the bullet and use the squeegee. I'm not exactly sure how much paint it's going to take. So I'm putting the paint down here at this end because I've got more room to work with down here. But then I'm probably going to turn it around and squeegee it the other direction. That's probably way too much paint, but I want to make sure I've got enough. Alright, and I'm just going to pull the paint, just making sure that I cover all the white. Oops, see, I didn't go far enough that time. And guys, I'm not sure really exactly how much pressure I need to be putting on this. I'm trying not to put a whole bunch because I don't want to scrape off the paint that I'm laying down, because it doesn't really have anything to absorb into. Like, I feel like I could use some more on this edge over here. You want to make sure that you get an even coat. That way you don't have lines in your stencil. Ooh, I almost dripped paint right on the white part. Alright, I'm going to call that good. And need to get something to lay that on when I take it off of there. Hold on just a second. And I'm just going to pull it this way. Oh, stuck my finger in the paint. Alright, there you have it. Looks like I might have had a little bit of bleeding right there, and that was probably because I was pushing too hard. But all in all, I think it looks pretty darn good. There are two issues, and if I don't point them out to you, you may not even recognize them. I knew about them before I put the paint on, because I realized it after I did the stencil. But I think that came out really good. I like it. So I'm going to finish the video. In the next part of the video, I'm going to show you what the two issues with this is. What the two issues are, I guess I should say. And how you can avoid making the same mistake I did. I'll be right back. Okay, so I got my stencil all washed off. As you can see, clean, just like new. So I'm going to flip it over. This is the sticky side. This is the side that you would put down to whatever you're going to stencil on. You want to be sure that you don't stretch. Don't pull on your stencil. Now we're going to put the backing back on. And you can see, maybe you can, right there, maybe you can't. Right there is where I wrote back. And you can see the remnants of the stencil on here. So I'm just going to put this back on the back of this. Hopefully I am. I have shaky hands. So I'm trying to get this lined up. Usually if I can get something lined up just in the corner. I have the same issue when I'm working with vinyl. Alright. It would have been easier for me to do it from the front, but hey, we are learning this together. Like I said at the very beginning of the video, learning together. I'm sure there's probably an easier way to do that, and I'm sure the more I do it, the better I'll get at it. Gonna blot that out a little bit, and there you go. Put that away to be used the next time. Okay? Alright, so now I'm going to hop on my computer and show you the mistakes. Okay, so I've come back into Silhouette Studio to show you the mistake that I made, so that hopefully you will be able to avoid this mistake as well. So here I've got my stencil layout, and as you can see, I'm on my 12 by 12 mat. I've got my paper chosen, which is 8.5 by 11. You can see that I've got this red line around the outside of the paper, and that's one of my guides. But what I did wrong was, if you look over here on my page setup, I have show cut border checked and not show print border. So if I uncheck that, that's going to make the red line go away. I need to know where I'm going to be printing, so I need to have show print border checked. Well, you come back over here and look at your stencil layout. My W was on the outside of the print border, and the ends of my E were on the outside of the print border. So therefore, they did not get printed on my printer film. And so when you look at the board, this side of the W is kind of a straight edge right there, and the two E's are missing the curvature at the end. And so you want to make sure when you're doing your printing, especially if you're using Silhouette to print from, that you have your show print border on so that you make sure that you get your design inside the print area. So that was just one more thing that I made a boo-boo on, and hopefully this video will keep you from making the same boo-boo.